Hello to all of my Scorpio friends. How are you? I hope you're all doing well. In the last video that we posted, the 3,800-year-old secret, and we discussed primarily the constellation from the Book of Formation, from the Book of Abraham. Actually, many of you asked, what book is it? It's the Book of Formation from Abraham, the patriarch, 3,800 years old, the oldest known written document that deals with cosmic understanding of the planets, the constellations themselves, and as I've been saying repeatedly, how we come to control the constellations rather than them controlling us. Why? Because as Abraham the patriarch explained, the stars impel, but they do not compel, which means they will give us the framework. They will give us the energy. They will give us the facilitation of our karmic work according to our past life. So past life is the source. We have a constellation to do our spiritual work, to do the tikkun, to do the correction. And we discussed primarily in the last video the letter Nun. And remember, the letter Nun created the constellation of Scorpio, Akrav. But many of you asked, well, what about Mars? What is Mars? Because Mars rules Scorpio. It also rules Aries, and there is a commonality obviously between them because Mars has a certain spiritual force which we need to be aware of. And how does it relate to the letter Nun, meaning to Scorpio? And again, and it's also relates to Aries again because 5 of the planets in astrology rule 2 months, 2 rule 1 month each. That's the sun and the moon, Leo and Cancer, okay? But again, this is not an astrology lesson per se, but we do want to understand the energy and the letter Dalet, which we have here on the screen, the letter Dalet, which created Mars, planet Mars. Now, Mars in Hebrew is Ma'adim. Ma'adim. Mars, that's what it means. Within the word Ma'adim is the word Dam. Now, Dam means blood, okay? So, you might be reading into it already. I know I am. Ma'adim, which means Mars in Hebrew, has within it the word blood. And, okay, so that can mean many things, but we understand Mars is known as the war planet. After all, war. Where's the war? So let me first read to you from the book, from the original text, as we did last time, from the Book of Formation, the Book of Abraham. And this will do 2 things. It's going to give us some information and also connect us to the consciousness. So when we read from these ancient texts, we're reading from the writings directly of Abraham the patriarch. Imagine. I mean, that's a crazy thing, right? And when you read the book of someone, anyone, what you're really doing is connecting to their consciousness because that came from their consciousness or their channel. They're channeling. What does it mean to be able to connect to the consciousness of Abraham the patriarch, who was a huge, huge soul? Well, so it's a good thing. Himlich ot Dalet. So the letter Dalet presented itself. Again, this is in the form of a narrative, a conversation between the creator and the letters, which were used as the vehicles of creation. I remind you, we said in the last video that we're not discussing so much the physical letter, but the energetic vibration, and the physical letter that we have is the result of a vibration, because every vibration creates a form, right? A form, a shape, if you will. And this is the form of that vibration that created the force behind the creation of a planet, planet Mars, the red planet. Why red, by the way? We'll have to talk about that too. Himlich ot Dalet. So the letter Dalet presented itself. V'kasha lo keter, and he bound to it, meaning the creator, bound a crown to the letter. V'tzar bo ma'adim ba'olam, and with it he formed Mars, the planet Mars, in the world. V'yom Gimel Bashana, and the third day of the week, which is Tuesday. We understand the letter Tuesday, which, by the way, is extremely positive from the point of view of the days. Ve'ozen Yamin Banefesh, and the right ear in a human being. Remember, every letter of the alphabet are associated with a body part, a part in the universe, in the world, in the cosmos, and something within the world, whether it's a planet, whether it's a day of a week, or it's a month, or whatever it is. Because again, these things are forces of creation, and they influence every part of the creation. Okay, so Mars, we have war planet, we have red planet, and we have blood. What's the connection between these things? What does it have to do with Scorpio? And also Aries, but we have to touch on it because there is a similarity. And how do Scorpios and Aries get along? Not that well usually. Not that well. They usually have conflict. All right, usually. So Mars, this planet Mars, has great power, okay? Great power of conflict. What is conflict? Okay, what is conflict? We have to analyze it. Conflict is when you have this and you have this. Let's say opinions. You have this opinion, you have this opinion. Now, there are two options. When you have this opinion, you have this opinion, you can have one of two things. You can have what? A negotiation, or you can have an argument. Right? I mean, that's the two ways it can go. What's the difference between a negotiation and an argument? Now, when I say a negotiation, I mean a real negotiation. Now, if you talk to the best negotiators, what will they tell you? What's the right way to have a negotiation? The best way to have a negotiation is to what? Think about what you want? No, it's to think about how you can create the most benefit for the other, that it will become a win-win situation. So you don't think about yourself first, you think about how can I satisfy the needs of the other individual in the negotiation, and of course I should also benefit, but you have to have the other person in mind. That's the best negotiation. Ask anyone who's good at negotiating. A win-win situation is the best outcome of any negotiation. What's the difference between that and an argument? Because argument can also lead to fight, and also leads to what? At least for Scorpio, for sure, out of the book. You're out of the book, right? For whatever the reason is. You lied, you did this, you cheated, you didn't, whatever. Anyway, whatever the reason is, you're out of the book. So potential of arguments doesn't have a good outcome. Potential of a good negotiation has a positive outcome. Okay? What do we choose? But the source of this comes from Mars. What is Mars? Mars is good or bad? Well, blood. We said we have the word blood there, right? Blood is obviously, it's the object of life, right? We need blood to live. So there's the power of the blood which flows in a good way. There's blood that can flow, God forbid, in a negative way. When blood flows without control, that's not good, right? That's called spilling of blood. Spilling of blood leads to death. Now, it doesn't have to mean literally, but figuratively, because we all have the power to spill blood, and we do. All of us probably guilty of spilling of blood spiritually. How do we do that? We finish them off, right? And of course, constellation of Scorpio can do that very much, right? Blood gives life. Spilling the blood, which means what? Embarrassing someone. It's considered spilling of blood as well. When blood rushes to someone's face because of what you told them, and you put them down, or you maybe embarrass them publicly, that's considered spilling of blood. And it's not a good thing. Obviously, it creates karma for the individual. So, again, that's the negative aspect. What is giving blood? Giving blood. So, literally, giving blood is giving life. Okay? Giving blood is giving life. If that's literally, yeah, it's a good idea if you can possibly to give blood. Yes. But what's another aspect spiritually of giving blood? Giving life to someone. What does that mean? Support. When we tell someone we believe in them, especially when it's coming from a strong place. Scorpios, you have power. Okay? You don't realize how your mouth, how your words, how what you do when you relate to another person can build them up or drop them like a rock. You have to understand, because you have the power, with power comes responsibility. So yes, you can kill them, but you can also give them life. How? By giving them the energy, by giving them the compassion, by giving them mercy, by giving them support, by telling them you believe in them, you know they can do it, whatever it is, okay? Giving life, giving blood. This is using, and this power comes from where? Mars. So Mars is very strong. Wars or peace is in the hands of Mars, okay? Mars can use its power, again, because remember, as we said last video, duality, life, death, plus, minus. Everything has a duality in this world. The Nun is falling or lifting up and elevating. So we have to realize this. The power of Mars. Now, why? Mars also rules the constellation of Aries. But then we can already figure out why Scorpio and Aries, if each one is busy with themselves, focused on themselves, focused on conflict, okay? You're trying to prove yourself to be right. Aries will always want to be the one who's right. And Scorpio is just going to, maybe make a mess of them, because, Scorpio will feel, I can see through this nonsense of them, and I'll show them where they came from. Okay. Yeah, that's all good. But it does no good for anybody. It really does no good for anybody. If only one, and we're discussing Scorpio, if only one will be the proactive one, will look how to create an elevation, create peace, use the blood to give life, use the Mars, the power that comes from Mars to create the power of peace, of building, of nurturing, the accident will be avoided. Why? Why only one? Yeah, because think about it. In an intersection, how many people does it take to avoid an accident? Do you need both? No. You only need one. One who has awareness, one who has the power, one who has the compassion, one who has the mercy, one who has the knowledge of how to avoid the reactive issue which will create problems again. It's never I create problems for someone else. I create them first for me and also for them, right? I create blockages and never, one-sided. In fact, we create blockages for ourselves. Other people are responsible for themselves. It is our job to remove our blockages. And this is how we do it, okay? So it's very important to have this understanding. Again, the third day of the week, by the way, again, it's mentioning it. I don't want to get into now why is Tuesday so positive, but, biblically, the Bible says that this day is a good day in Genesis, in the creation of the day. Well, again, the Bible is a code, not meant to be taken literally, but Tuesday represents balance. It's a balance force third day. Third, the fact that it's third. And also, for those of you who have seen on my other channel, on Rabbi Abe, at Rabbi Abe, on my main channel, we have the video over there of the Ana Bekoach meditation, which I highly recommend if you want support to overcome yourself, to overcome your reactive consciousness. So go over there and look for the video that says the 42-letter name, Ana Bekoach, 7-line meditation. But the meditation specifically for the constellation of Scorpio and Mars is the third line, by no coincidence. So I don't want to confuse matters over here. Go over there and, watch that class. And I recommend starting to use that as a meditation, because that will help all of us, right, to go through the process better, more efficiently, more quickly with the use of that tool. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Be blessed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that stuff. Hit the bell so you'll know when the new video comes up. And I'll see you soon in the next video. All the best. All the best. Be blessed.